of a shot of winning. We can beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
And welcome to the New York Jets Atlantic Flight podcast. I nearly said my old podcast just back there, but because we were just talking about it for 2 seconds. But anyway, welcome back to the New York Jets Atlantic Flight podcast. We played preseason week 2 against the Giants. It's only preseason. We'll keep saying this until we're blue in the face, or New York Jets big blue in the face as it happens. The Jets lost to the Giants 12-31. It was a game of not a lot to really get too fluffed up about. Enough about my thoughts on this. We'll get straight into this. We're going to ask the guys to give a quick synopsis of what they thought, their overall opinions. And with us this week, we've got Daniel, Ryan and Andrew. Timmy is off for some reason going to watch this band from Manchester called Oasis. Never heard of them before. Hopefully they'll make it big. And they're a couple of brothers. Anyway, I think they've got some good few tunes. But anyway, I don't know anything about them, but I do know something about the Jets. Anyway, Daniel, what was your overall opinion last night? What happened? What was your big takeaway?
Well, I think the Jets hit the wonder wall.
Hey!
Anyway, hey, you had to mention Oasis, so I had to throw that in there. Honestly, look, here's the thing. I mean, yeah, you can say there's some issues, and that's fine. But the one thing I can definitely say is a positive is the running game. The running game is going to be fabulous. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, other running backs. I think it's Donovan too. I mean, the Jets are fabulous running the ball, and the offensive line giving them the holes to get those first downs. And because they were on 4th and 1 for the second time this season in the preseason, they converted it this time. And you know what? I was happy to see that because I didn't get to talk about it in the last pod. When they went for 4th and 1 with Braylon Allen, the way he made that slight cut or turn to his left to go deeper into the line of scrimmage, he got stuffed by 2 yards. I thought that was the wrong thing to do. I thought he should have either just stayed straight or maybe cut to his right to go to the outside, to the far side. This time, not a problem at all. He went right down the middle and got the first down and then some. So 1 for 2 on 4th and 1s for the Jets in preseason. I'm happy about that. Passing wise, give the Giants credit. They were able to harass Garrett Wilson and really, they flushed and harassed Justin Fields a lot in this game for the 2 series he played in the first quarter. So honestly, look, this is preseason. They're gonna, this is gonna happen. Even in the regular season, this is going to happen. And hopefully it doesn't happen every freaking game. But right now, there's nothing to worry about. Look, they're going to work out the kinks. They got one more preseason game against the Eagles next week at home. So, look, it's going to happen. There's nothing to worry about completely. Just take it easy. And anyway, I will say this. The Giants in this game have to act like, as they want to put it, we are New York Football Giants. This is our brand of football. We have to be the best. We are the best in the National Football League, and we're better than you, our New York brothers. Fine. Whatever you got to do, whatever you're going to say, that's fine by me. I do not care. We only play you once every 4 years in the regular season when it truly matters. This little situation, you beat us finally in the preseason. Good for you. Congratulations. Golf clapping for you right now. I do not care. It's a preseason game. Say whatever you want, Giants fans. You want to take the preseason Snoopy Bowl trophy? You go right ahead. It's just extra fodder for us when we beat you because it's really nice because we don't care.
Pretty good. I think you're pretty much on the ball there. It's a funny old game, and it's always his bragging rights. And of course, there is a little trophy involved in this, the Snoopy Bowl. So there is kind of bragging rights. It was good to see Daboll and Glenn at the end shaking hands. They are good friends. I do like to see that amongst the coaches. However, I also like to see a little bit of needle between coaches as well. But they're brand new coaches, and hey, they might fall out in future about something in 4 years' time. Who knows? But Andy, let's have your thoughts. What was your overall takeaway from the pre-season game last night?
Yeah, it's similar to Daniel in a lot of ways. I think we know that the Jets want to be a team who control the game by running the ball and running the ball well. And I think seeing them dominate up front like they did last night and the kind of continued emergence of Braylon Allen shows that they're going to be able to do that when they need to, we hope so. But I suppose even though Fields is limited as a passer, like we know, it's good during these preseason games to be able to watch some of those depth receivers like Brandon Smith, who I thought had another really strong game last night in that kind of X receiver role. Seeing those guys kind of rise to the top and show a little bit, you hope that they make the roster. So for me, maybe because my expectations of certain elements of this team have been low to start with, I wasn't surprised by what I saw last night, but it's positive to see some guys stepping up in those weaker areas. Like we thought the wide receiver room would be pretty weak, but to see some of the younger guys kind of trying to take a step is really positive to me. On the defensive side of things, it's always difficult. You've got Sauce, Q, Johnson, McDonald all missing, so you can't really evaluate the
Mm-hmm.
starting defense when most of them weren't out there. But you do still worry about the defensive line. Nobody's really stepping up. We had Tefele's little bit of a breakout as a pass rusher last week, but in general, the defensive line's been quite disappointing. So once we've got those starters back, it should be a lot better than what we saw last night, but it is still a bit of a worry. But I suppose overall, nothing surprising from last night, really.
Yeah, we did definitely miss our defensive starters last night. I thought it was quite evident that when Source was out there, both sides of our defensive secondary were getting picked on, and we didn't know where it was coming from. Whichever quarterback was under centre for the Giants, it was noticeable. And as you say, it is very hard to assess when you do have such key pieces missing in this preseason. But having said that, I do like the approach that the Jets are taking. Go carefully, softly. Let's get everyone ready for game one, Pittsburgh, because that's when it really matters. I think behind the scenes, the coaching staff pretty much know already they're 53, and I think it's just now a case of when we get to the Philadelphia game of okay, this is your last chance. There are some bubble guys. This is your last chance to make a statement. But I think you hit the nail on the head as well. Brandon Smith. I thought he made a really good impression. Again, this is the second game he's done this. He fills a role that I don't think that we've got in the receivers. A great big body, a possession type receiver, and we haven't got that. And he seems to be reliable. He was getting contested catches. He was bringing the ball in close, and he was coming down with it. No ball handling issues at all. Which, and we'll get into the receivers later on. But I do echo what you say. I do think Brandon Smith made a really good shout at making that 53. Ryan, what was your overall takeaway?
I'm going to start at the kind of opposite or the less flashy end, special teams. I feel like Austin McNamara is the guy. He's had another good night. 3 of his 6 kicked into the 20, and that I feel like that's much closer to where Morstead's best season was with us than Morstead's last season. So I feel like we've improved there. I feel confident in our place kicking, whether it's Nick Folk or Mevis. Either way is going to be an improvement on last year. And Wangwu, I think, is the guy. He is the returner. Just it depends who's going to be on the other side of it, the punt returning more so than the kick returning, because I think that's Wangwu's job now. Big fan of what Keeney's done the past couple of weeks. I don't see how he can miss the cut, really, to be honest with you. In terms of defense, as everybody's alluded to already, this wasn't a starting defense. At the very start of the game, the best defense we had out was probably still mostly second string and a few first stringers maybe littered in. So I don't think it's going to be a fair evaluation, especially when New York have 3 capable passes of the ball. Say what you want about Wilson's last couple of seasons and say what you want about Jameis and how kind of much of a gunslinger he is and will throw into double coverage. If you've not got starters out there, they're going to cook you like they did. They all went over 100 yards. So I don't think there's a fair assessment of the defense, but I think some guys really did step up and play well and made a good sort of case for themselves, especially the likes of Dean Clark. I think he had a fantastic game, and I think he's just getting better every week right now. And I think Jarvis Monroe had another good game, but I feel like he's gonna be he could end up a bit of a victim of how strong that room is becoming. But I'd like to see him still make it. And offense, it didn't quite click for Fields, did it? Let's be honest. But that kind of shows the inconsistencies we've seen of his career anyway, I think. There were some good performances from the receivers, though. Brandon Smith, absolutely. As you guys have all alluded to, the way he's going up and winning balls is great. But a guy I've been a fan of since we brought him on as a UDFA was Quentin Skinner. And I think he's had another good game, and he's given a headache to Aaron Glenn because he's making those difficult catches. He's able to contort his body and get out in front of it, and actually make catches that we only see from Garrett Wilson, to be honest. And my final point on all of it, I felt like with ball in hand, Brady Cook looked very poised, very comfortable. And if it wasn't for a missed DPI, that pass down to the touchline where he got absolutely nailed by two guys, if it's not DPI, that's probably caught. If it's not interfered with, it's probably caught. And if it's called as a DPI, you still make those sort of 40, 50 yards, whatever it was on that.
Yeah, I agree. I want to get to Andy straight on this one because we're talking about quarterbacks. Because I've got a little bit of a theory what's going on here. You touched on it. Fields didn't look too good. He didn't look too comfortable. I do think that the play calling is slightly getting held back. We said this last week in the podcast. No team shows their hand, so I'm hoping that there's a little bit of this going on in the background. But as to Brady Cook, yeah, this guy, the progression is there from how he played last week to how he's playing this week. He's progressing. He's trending in the right direction, and yeah, he's a pretty tough guy. He got absolutely nailed. He got up, he brushed it off, and he played the next down. And bosh, he never looked back. So Brady Cook, he'll be on the practice squad and he'll cook on the practice squad. But Andy, I want to get to you, Fields. Is the problem with Fields at the moment is we know that Fields is a rushing quarterback. So if you're a defense and Fields is your quarterback, and then you've got a running back like Breece Hall in the backfield, are you not looking at that and thinking this is more run orientated than pass orientated? So you've got Garrett Wilson out there. For argument's sake, let's have two wide receivers, one tight end, and a running back. So if you're lining up with Breece Hall in the backfield and you've got Fields under center, you're probably more than likely thinking it's a more run heavy offense than it is a pass heavy offense. You've got a rookie tight end. Let's say it's Mason Taylor, and then you've got wide receiver 2, whoever that is, and wide receiver 2 from Garrett Wilson. The drop off is huge. It is huge. I don't care who it is. It's huge. So now weapons wise, you're looking really Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Justin Fields. And I think we saw a bit of this last night from the Giants starting D. Is it too predictable? Because Breece just cannot get going. But then you put Zach Braylon in there, and all of a sudden we get going, even with the same personnel. So it's either Breece. I know this is probably a bit of a contentious issue, and I'm not having a pop at Breece, but Breece is not looking like the running back he was. I don't know why, because you're looking at someone like Braylon Allen who's got exactly the same offense and is running pretty much the same kind of plays, but he's making more of it. Are the defense focusing more on Breece and Justin Fields? So my question is, because this is a quarterback question, is the reason why Justin Fields not been able to perform so much is because they're locking down that run, so they're trying to make him throw. And I don't think that Engstrand is opening up those passing lanes for him just yet. That's a very long question, I know.
Yeah, it's right. I think someone's already alluded to it. I think it might have been Daniel who said it earlier on that I don't think the Jets are showing their full hand yet. They're definitely not rolling out what they want from Fields as a runner just yet. But I think they're also probably holding back on Brees as a receiving option as well, because that's something we haven't seen a lot of in the preseason, but something they've talked about a lot through training camp is really taking advantage of what Brees offers as a receiver, not just as a back. I think what you've said about Brees and Allen is completely fair. I think Brees, although he's liable to break off a long run at least once a game, he really struggles with vision, I think, in the backfield, and he misses holes quite a lot. So he he'll either break it off for 25, 30 yards or he gets stuffed for a yard, 2 yard gain. Whereas Allen seems a lot better at finding those holes that the offensive line are opening up and getting those tough yards. And that's kind of what sustained that long second drive is Allen being able to just pound the ball up, get 6 yards, 7 yards here and there, which Brees really struggles to do. I think in the regular season when they're splitting Brees out wider, using Mason Taylor more, getting back in there like we saw in the first game, if they run the ball over and over again, defense is having to account for Fields, you'll see space open up in the short game that Fields is more than capable of taking advantage of. He's going to miss guys who are open. I feel so sorry for Garrett Wilson again this year. He'll somehow manage to squeak out 1,000 yards. He always does. But he's going to be open a lot of times on corner routes and things like that. And Fields just will not see him or he'll throw it late. We're going to all have to live with that. But I think I have confidence in what I've seen from Engstrand that he's going to be able to scheme up those guys open for those short passes that we saw in the first game.
Yeah.
Gus, if I can just also
Yeah, I was
add
going
to
to come to you,
Andrew.
Daniel. I want your thoughts
Yeah.
as well, Daniel.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, I have to say this, and I want everyone to understand here, and, you know, this is the arguments I get here on this side of the pond, where everyone wants to trade Brees Hall already. Everyone wants to get rid of him all of a sudden. Everyone wants to say, that's it, we're done, we've seen enough. First of all, you've only seen Brees Hall in short stints because the Jets starters have only had, if not one series, 2 series, at least 1 quarter, and that's it. They're done. Number one, Brees Hall right now is on his last year of his current rookie contract. He was a second-round pick, which means he doesn't get a fifth-round option or a fifth-year option to continue on his rookie deal. That's number one. So what's the point of wasting that if you just want to get rid of him for no reason? And some of these fans are saying, oh, let's trade him for a fifth-rounder. For who? For what fifth-rounder? What are you talking about? Why are you trying to waste a guy who has potential that can explode, and not only can he run the ball, but he's a dual threat. You can pass him the ball. Have people forgotten the touchdown last year against the Tennessee Titans? Have people forgotten his catching touchdown in Cleveland in his rookie year 4 years ago? Have they forgotten what he can do, not just running with the ball, but catching the ball as well? Here, look, it's really simple. If Brees Hall does not have a productive season to start in 2025, and you're getting towards the trading deadline, then the Jets could probably say, you know what, then we'll probably trade you to a team that would probably use you better than we can. And that's fine. But I am not going to give up on Brees Hall after 2 preseason games because people assume he doesn't have it anymore. Okay, fine. Maybe occasionally he'll miss where the hole is and he'll go to a different part of the running game where he goes right into the line of scrimmage because he likes contact. Okay, I'm sorry about that. And sure, he's not the big time running back he used to be when he got started his rookie year after he got hurt in Denver with the ACL situation. But you know what? I'm still not going to give up on him because number one, we need to see what he can do in at least the first 4 or 5 games this upcoming season under Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrom. As we've kept saying over and over, they are not showing their hand every run that Brees Hall and this offense makes. People need to understand you cannot all of a sudden crucify Breece Hall after 2 series and only playing 1 freaking quarter. Everyone's got to calm down. Everyone's got to take it easy. And everyone has to understand this is the preseason. Yes, the second stringers, the third stringers, and the fourth stringers, whoever hasn't been cut yet, will get the majority of the plays while the starters get maybe, up to 2. Maybe the final game they'll get 3. They'll probably play more than a quarter in this game. They may play a quarter and a half. But until then, we get to week 1 at MetLife Stadium against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Until we get there, everyone calm down. Everyone take it easy and just let Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrom on the offensive side of the ball handle their business. And when they're ready to go to show what's coming to every team in the NFL, including the AFC East, take it easy, calm down, and just relax.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's avocado here. I agree with everything you've said. You need to give Breece a chance, and you've highlighted the biggest issue is he's not been used in the receiving game at all at the moment, and I think that is by design. We're not showing our hand, and I think it will become. And he's just said, yeah, Hackett probably still doesn't know that Breece can still catch a ball. This is true. I do think that as soon as we get into the regular season, I think we're going to see a different thing. So you might have all of a sudden, you might have Breece lining up in the backfield, audibles called, and now we've got empty tray and Breece is being used as a receiver because he can catch the ball and he's super dangerous. You get Breece on a one-on-one or man coverage, or he's lethal. He is lethal in the passing game. We've seen, as you've rightly said, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Braylon Allen is running exactly the same offense as Breece Hall is, but Braylon Allen is picking up chunk yards. Why isn't Breece? If you could just give us a quick one, because we need to move on and get off running backs and move on to receivers, and we'll start with Ryan. But Daniel,
I'll say this. I'll tell you the reason why. And I understand the situation from some Jet fans because he doesn't see the holes where they are. Like, he's running a certain route. And so he's sticking to that route that he's told to go. So I think that's why he's not getting those chunky rushing yards like he used to. So probably that's his one issue right there. Plus, at the same time, you have Armand Membu. You have also Olu Fashanu as your tackles. Now these guys are being considered full-time starters on that offensive line. So until Simpson comes back from injury, that I don't think he was there in the Giant game. Hopefully he'll be back for the Eagles preseason game before the season gets started. Once Josh Simpson returns to the offensive line, Tippmann will return to center instead of being a guard. So probably that's also another issue.
Yeah. Anyone else got anything to add to the running backs before we move on to wide receivers? Go on, okay, dogs. Ryan, take us away. You touched on the wide receivers earlier on. Quentin Skinner had a good game. Did you say Pokey Wilson had a good game? Because I thought Pokey Wilson actually had a good game as well. Brandon Smith, I think collectively as a podcast, we're all quite high on. And if he doesn't make the 53, I will eat my hat because we are so light on wide receivers. But Ryan, tell us what did you see from the wide receivers?
Yeah, I agree. I think Pokey Wilson did actually have quite a good game. I remember seeing a couple of catches from him, and I thought, who the hell is 81? And it totally escaped me. And when I looked at it, it said Ontaria, and I was like, who the hell is Ontaria? And then I put the 2 and 2 together eventually. But yeah, no, he looked all right. He looked sure enough with the hands. But yeah, the real success stories for me from the game were Quentin Skinner and Brandon Smith. I think they really both should have a shot at making the roster at this point. They can both ball out in the final game against the Eagles. Then I think you have to say, look, you've done enough to show we should give you a chance. If you've got the likes of Lazard that isn't healthy currently, you've got Corley that's just really not seeing the field for one, and when he is, we're not seeing anything from him, sadly. I still hold out hope for him in the league, but I think we have to accept that he's going to really struggle now to make the roster because other guys are stepping up and he's not been doing it. I think Pritchett had another solid game. I don't think he did anything to enhance his stock this week, but I don't think he harmed it either. So I think the problem is, and we alluded to it in our group chat earlier, I think the trouble is, outside of Garrett Wilson, we've got quite a long list of wide receivers that flirt with the average line, and I feel, and I know Andy agrees with this, I feel like we're better off taking the guy that is younger with more potential that sits around the average line than maybe that guy that is slightly better, but we know there's no higher ceiling for them.
Josh Reynolds.
I would rather keep Josh Reynolds than I would Alan Lazard, but I think that Reynolds I think has showed way more in practice than he has in any of the games. I don't feel like I've seen anything from him in the preseason games.
Lazard is actually on injured list at the moment. So
he's been put on IR now as well.
Yeah.
Well, then all the more reason to keep these young guys and see if you can shift him.
So we didn't see too much from Tyler Johnson this week either. So I don't think.
No, I think he'll sneak into the roster because I think what he offers is a bit different to a lot of these guys. And I think he's liked enough by the team, Muji and Glenn. I think that he probably will make it just by proxy, to be honest. Along with Arian Smith, he's their guy.
So you and I especially, we're both stands of this guy, Malachi Corley. Almost non-existent. He was a ghost out there. Do you know what? I don't think Corley is going to make the team. I don't think Gibson's going to make the team. I also, as high as I have been on Jamal Pritchett, and I think he is a talent, I think he will stick on the practice squad with Tyler Johnson, possibly Tyler Johnson, Xavier Gibson. I think Malachi Corley, will he stick on the practice squad? I don't know. But I don't think the bottom end of this wide receiver core are starting to make it now. So for me, right now, we've got Garrett Wilson, Pokey Wilson, Ontario Wilson, if you like, Brandon Smith, Arian Smith, Quinton Skinner, I think might jump in there, Josh Reynolds. I don't think Jamal Pritchett, Damian Miller, Alan Lazard, or Tyler Johnson, Xavier Gibson, or Malachi Corley make it. Ryan, just give us a quick surprise on who do you think is going to get cut and who do you think is going to stay, and I'll move on to Andy after.
I would agree with most of that. I think that Pokey Wilson will be cut in favour of Arian Smith.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I think you missed Arian Smith there.
Did I miss Arian Smith? Beg your pardon. On Arian Smith, we've seen various quarterbacks outside of field give the long ball to Arian Smith, and he just hasn't quite got it. It's either been overthrown or it's been thrown behind, or like last night, he tried cradling it in the basket rather than extending his hand. You can see the frustration because it's been working in training camp, but it just hasn't quite come off. And this blazing speed that we've been led to believe, is quite honestly, we've not quite seen it yet, because every time that he's had the ball thrown at him, he has been surrounded by defenders. Andy, what do you make of Arian Smith and what's been happening? Because we've been saying that he can stretch the field, but he's getting separation, but he's always got defenders draped all over him, which we didn't think we were going to see.
Yeah, I think the biggest expectation for his upside was that he was going to be blazing off down the field. Like you say, I think he's been a bit unlucky. I'm not usually a big defender of Arian Smith, but I think both games now, and I think it's been Martinez both times. I might be wrong about that. It might have been Cook in the first game, but there's been one pass in each game where he's got his guy beaten, and Martinez just overthrew him last night. And I think so. He could have made a big impact if the guys had hit him. And Smith had his issues last night. A couple of really good catches in the 2-minute drive at the end of the first half, where he was breaking inside of the field, and then a couple of difficult to defend drops. One, like you said, it just hit him straight in the chest. But you know what? He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. I'd rather he was making them in the preseason, and hopefully we're not going to be depending on him as a starter, at least not at the beginning of the season. So I'm trying not to get overexcited one way or the other with Smith.
I've got to ask. I'll move on to Daniel with the same question. Who do you think is going to make the wide receiver room? are there going to be any surprises, or are there going to be
I
surprise
mean, I
cuts?
love I love Skinner. I love what he's
Oh,
done.
sorry, Daniel.
Especially.
That was just to Andy first, and I'll come to you with that one.
Oh, I
Sorry,
thought you were done with Andy. That's my bad. Sorry, Andy. Not
sorry,
gonna
Andy.
try to take all your time.
It's all right. Everyone's done with me, Daniel. Don't worry about it. I think I'm really happy to hear that Lazard's on IR and long may he stay there. Because I really would prefer, like Ryan's already said, to see guys like Brandon Smith get a chance on this roster. So I think Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Arian Smith, Tyler Johnson, um, Brandon Smith, and then it's a tough one because who you're catching passes from in the preseason and what quarter you're still playing in kind of gives you an idea of where people are on the roster. So the fact that when we see Skinner making catches, it's late in the third quarter through the fourth quarter, kind of makes you wonder where the coaching staff have him. But I'd love to see him get a chance if Lazard does start the season on IR, and that's probably as many as they carry.
Yeah, I don't think it is definitely not going to be 6 wide receivers. That's a fact. Daniel, let's hear what you got. Any surprises?
I think Skinner might make it. I liked what I've seen from him, especially the touchdown grab that he had from Brady Cook, and that was absolutely fantastic with a big dive in the end zone.
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
That was catch. That really was a great catch, wasn't it?
yeah,
Absolutely
it really
excellent.
was. No, it really was. And you know who else? I think, I think Arian Smith. I just feel like, I agree with Andy. He's being overthrown or underthrown a little too much because if it's right there, he'll definitely take care of it. But, he has his own issues as well. And that's the one thing you want to see him, work on because he has looked pretty good in practice and everything. So we'll see what happens there. Other than that, those are the only two I'm hoping for. I think Lazard will be on the roster. I think, a couple of other players. I think Tyler Johnson. I think he'll make practice squad. I really don't want Xavier Gibson on this team anymore. I just think he is not what he is. Whether it's in the passing game or at special teams, I just don't see him actually being any more a part of this team anymore. It's just not worth it. He's just terrible. He's absolutely terrible.
Hmm.
Other than that, look, I think Lazard will be there. I think Arian Smith will be there. Obviously, Garrett Wilson's signed a big deal, so he'll be there no matter what. And depending on who they bring over on practice squad, like I was saying, Tyler Johnson should be there. Maybe, um, maybe the guy we were just talking about, maybe he'll make the team. I'm hoping he does. If not, get him to the practice squad as well. It doesn't say you can only have one wide receiver on the practice squad. Why not have two?
Timmy, who couldn't make it today because he's off enjoying himself. He's an advocate. He seems to still think that.
He's having a champagne supernova.
Here we go. There we go. And I'm sure he's not looking back in anger, missing this pod. But anyway, yeah. We'll move on to tight
Let
ends.
it out, Chuck. Let it out.
Timmy seems to still think that are going to end up either getting another defensive lineman, possibly a wide receiver, possibly another tight end through the waiver wire, and who knows, that could possibly still happen as well. But we'll move on to tight ends. Again, there was Jeremy Ruckert, completely anonymous again. His blocking still isn't very good. Didn't do anything. Zach Kuntz, same. So I think Zach Kuntz, I think we'll all agree, is pretty much gone. I don't think he'll even make the practice squad. But that said, we haven't only got many tight ends on roster, so he might make. I think Stone Smart looks all right. I'll have to bring Ryan on this one because Ryan brought this on up earlier up. Stone Smart. Everyone says that Stone Smart, the weakest part of his game is blocking. Ryan, is Stone Smart a bad blocker? Tell us what happened.
But based on the evidence I've seen from last night's game, where he absolutely flattens the number 3 overall pick, self-proclaimed greatest edge in the class, self-proclaimed should be allowed to wear Lawrence Taylor's number, self-proclaimed bit of a Burke that goes along with Kayvon Thibodeau at this point, in my opinion. But a great player. I do rate him, I will say, despite all that. I will say Abdul Carter looks like a fantastic edge rusher, but he's proven nothing yet. And he's all talk already. And he got absolutely flattened by allegedly the weakest blocker in our tight end room. And I mean, when I say flattened, go online. All you have to do, search Stone Smart Abdul Carter and look, the red sleeve just get thrown like a rag doll wearing the big blue and then get pancaked and finished off by, I forget who it was, Chukwuma Okorafor, is it?
Yeah,
Chucky.
Chick's
Big Chucky absolutely follows in with the pancake, makes sure he stays on the ground. And look, Stone Smart, I think, has also had a reasonable night in receiving. Caught 2 out of 3 targets. Only 10 yards, but that seems to be indicative of the night, doesn't it? Those little short range targets and not a lot of long yardage. So look, for me, the tight end room absolutely should be Mason Taylor and Stone Smart. Andrew Beck, if we're going to class him as a fullback / tight end, there is a good chance we probably have to have a look at someone on cut downs if we want to, because otherwise Ruckert could be making it by proxy, and he's just not doing enough to earn it, if I'm honest. And Zach Kuntz, I mean, I don't understand the guy with the RAS score through the roof, the guy that's 6 foot and a million tall, and he can't seem to jump and win a competed ball. I just don't get it, and he can't seem to block either. It makes no sense to me. The man is an athletic freak and seems to have all the technique of, I don't know, something that's never even looked at a football field, to be honest with you. So I think that we probably do need to play with the waiver wire a bit. And I think, just referencing the Tyler Johnson thing, I don't think he'll make the practice squad. I think he will get picked up on waivers. I think there's enough people that like him. And we just got to hope. Same with the D-line, like you alluded to, that Timmy thinks we're not strong enough there either. So there's a couple of things. We're going to have to play quite smart on the waivers. Joe Douglas historically was very good at that. So I'm hoping to see some good stuff from Muji, especially if Beck is anything to go by, because that was his first signing for us, wasn't it? So, yeah, confident that Stone Smart and Mason Taylor have to be there, 1 and 2. Outside of that, it's a bit of a crapshoot.
Daniel, tight ends. What did you think of the tight end? We went to Mason Taylor early on. I actually did call this. I said it was going to be a play action to Taylor, and actually they used Taylor as a safety valve. Picked up 4 yards, 1 pass, 1 target, 4 yards, bang. I think we're going to see that a lot in regular game time. And obviously in our training camp, we have seen the Taylor Fields connection quite often, and it did look exciting. But how do you see this tight end room panning out? Do you think we're going to just run with Beck and Taylor and Stone Smart, or do you see us picking somebody else up?
I really love Mason Taylor a lot, and you can tell he's probably trained with his dad down here in South Florida, whether it be when he was playing with the Dolphins or after he was retired. That is a, bloodline of brilliance, in my opinion. And this kid is going to be something special when the Jets have him out on offensive plays. And whenever they call his number, I have no worries at all that he is going to do the job. Beck, I absolutely love. You can put him at fullback. You could put him at tight end. You can do whatever you want with him. Jack of all trades. I do not care. He will make the Jets better in the passing game, even in the running game as well. Another dual threat that I can see him being for Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn. For Stone Smart, obviously, he's done some positive things, and I love it. It's really a shame that Ruckert is just not doing what he's supposed to do. He's been well known, in Ohio State as a blocking tight end and does have abilities to catch the ball. And I just don't understand why he's not doing the job in preseason. Now, once again, maybe out of the blue, who knows? Maybe, just maybe, he's just not getting Glenn's system or Engstrand's system quick enough. But I will say this. If they go with 3 tight ends, it will be Mason Taylor, Stone Smart, and Beck. Not in that order, obviously, as first, second, and third, just whoever it is. Now, they could do this as well. They can keep Ruckert as tight end and list Beck as fullback, and then you can use Beck either as a fullback or a tight end for different plays. So if I'm Aaron Glenn, and this is Ruckert's last year on his rookie contract as well, all you got to do is this. If you want to keep Ruckert as a tight end and make Beck a fullback, but occasionally put him at tight end to give Ruckert or Stone Smart a break or a breather. I mean, you can still do a 2 tight end formation, a 3 tight end formation with Beck as a fullback, and you can still do tremendous blocking to give either Brees or Braylon or Isaiah the holes they need to run the ball. So while I understand everyone's upset with Ruckert, and rightfully so, I think is that, look, this is his last year on his current rookie deal. Just let him play it out. And then when the season's over, the Jets can say, you know what, we're not going to resign you.
I think even if they do cut Ruckert, I think his cap hit is something like about 212,000. So it's just like in the NFL, that's chump change. Not to us, but in the NFL, it's chump change. So they
I
could,
would love $220,000.
Yeah, me as well, please. I'll retire. But in the NFL circles, it is literally pocket change. But yeah. Andy, we're going to move on to the other side of the ball, defense, and something that was. There were a lot of players last night that made good plays, some made bad plays, and some didn't really do much of anything. We're talking about cornerbacks. Who stuck out for you last night?
I think probably in a slightly negative way, Quantez Stiggers stuck out. I think he's really lucky he's playing so well on special teams at the moment, and I don't want to take away because he is playing very well on special teams at the moment, but he just needs a lot more time to develop as a corner if he's going to stick in the NFL. But I think he's going to hang on to the roster because of how he's showing out on special teams. Because, I mean, our starters are pretty locked on. It's going to be Sauce on one side and Stevens on the other side, with guys like Azariah Thomas waiting in the wings to take over. But someone who I thought did really well with his limited snaps, I'll let Ryan talk about Dean Clark when he gets a chance later. But I thought Bernard Converse, in the limited snaps that he got, I thought he played really, really well. I don't see a way he can hang on to the roster. He'll probably end up going to the practice squad, but I thought he did well in the limited reps that he had.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Ryan, do you want to pick up on what Andy's just said there? And I know that you're going to start this off with Dean Clark, one of the Clarks.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to talk about Dean Clark. When we first started talking about the UDFAs way back when the list was announced, he was somebody I highlighted that I was excited to look closer at and see him in camp and see him develop. And I feel like he kind of started off camp quite quietly, but he's been steadily getting better and putting up better performances. And he just, last night, I felt like last week he showed up and people took note. And I feel like last night he really showed out. I think he had such a good night. 6 total tackles, 3 of them solo tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 1 QB hit, 2 pass deflections, and 1 interception. I mean, that is a great night for a guy that a lot of people, when he signed as a UDFA, people were saying there's no chance he's going to stick, along with many of the UDFAs, to be honest. But I feel like he's really making a strong case. He's turned up, and I think that he has every right to get onto this roster. I think he's earned that right as well.
Yeah, I do too. There's been, I mean, for me personally, secondary is something that I really enjoy. This is the part of the game. This is my bread and butter, secondary. And I'm looking at what we've got at the moment, and there is just so much talent. In years gone by, a lot of these guys would have made the team, but we are now stacked it's nicely stacked in it's definitely the safety area, but also in the cornerback area as well now. And we're going to end up letting somebody go, and they're going to end up, let's hope it's not Jason Pinnock all over again. If you don't want to know what happened there, Google Jason Pinnock. We let a good one go and he got picked up, and he was an excellent player. And I think we will end up letting someone go who will turn out to be an excellent player. But we missed Source so badly last night. I said at the beginning of this, we got picked off left, picked off right, all over the place. And I think that did unsettle the secondary, especially the young guys that were looking for a bit of leadership, a little bit of guidance. And I think we were also missing our signal callers on defence as well last night when Sherwood was off the field. Malachi Moore, don't know if he picked up on that. But overall, I'm not too concerned about our secondary. But linebackers, that's a different situation. We know who the first two are, but Daniel, what's happening? Who's going to pick up the slack outside of Quincy Williams and Jamie Sherwood?
It's really a big question, to be honest with you, because, we haven't seen Quinn and Williams right now out there on the front lines, the front side. And don't forget as well, Will McDonald wasn't out there either. So, that shows you why Will McDonald is so badly important for the defense, especially that front seven as an edge rusher. I don't think Jermaine Johnson played a game. I don't think he's been out there either in that game against the Giants. So we'll have to wait and see what he can do once he finally gets ready for the regular season and everything. And hopefully he'll be able to get a snap or two on defense against the Eagles. If not, we'll get ready for Pittsburgh. But still, though, that's a tough call for me, Gus, right now, because I think the Jets right now are pretty much stacked with what they have for the front seven, especially the front four of the seven. When Quinn Williams comes back, he'll be the monster we always know. When Will McDonald comes back, he'll be the monster as well that he's been there. But, like I said, I just think that that we have some issues right now with injuries, and hopefully they get rectified very quickly, and then we get ready and be fully healthy in week one.
Yeah. There were some players that played quite well against the Green Bay Packers. Marioga, McCrary Ball, who else was there?
Oh, and Tufele, actually. I think I mentioned it last pod. I think Tufele is going to make the roster. I really do. I really think he's going to make the roster. I think he really was very impactful for the Jets so far in these first two preseason games. I love what he did with the sacks. I love when he recovered the strip sack fumble.
Yeah.
And, I think he'll definitely steal a roster spot. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think you're right. We'll get on to D-line in 2 seconds. Jamarcus Weston, I thought he had an all right game. He's a rookie out of Florida. It's going to be interesting to see who picks up that third and possibly fourth position. But as Daniel's just alluded to, D-line is an interesting situation going on here. It's so difficult to make an assessment without Quinnen playing, and as been pointed out, our starting edges as well. Yeah, Jamin Davis, he also had a good game last night, so it's still up in the air. It's going to come down to this Philadelphia game, I think, to find out who is going to make that linebacker core. Ryan, do you want to take us away? We're running very close to our hour when we try and get it in on the hour. Do you want to start us off with the D-line, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm quite happy. Look, this is probably going to be the most negative aspect of the podcast from me. I feel like we really are missing those big names, and Andy's going to allude to it probably in a bit more detail than me. But missing Q, JJ, and Will McDonald it's huge for us, and we aren't operating at the same standard. I think that Tufele did probably enough in the Packers game. I didn't feel he was as impactful last night because, he had such a ball-out game. How was he going to be? I think Rashad Weaver's probably just doing enough to hang on, but these aren't exciting people or players that are going to cling on. I think if there's any kind of upgrade on the waivers, we're going to have to make some moves. Peyton Page probably isn't doing enough different to anyone else to make the roster. I'm really hopeful Leonard Taylor III is going to reach the level I think he can. But honestly, it's a really upsetting room. And Derek Nady, I don't know how he stayed on that Kansas City Chiefs roster as long as he did, because I see nothing offered in the run game. He doesn't seem to stop the run in any fashion. He doesn't seem to make very many tackles. I feel like he moves as if he's like got his feet in sand or something. I don't know, but I had hopes for him because he looked like this big, beautiful body that was gonna slow down the run game or just hit runners coming through. And then when you look at how long he was with the Chiefs and you think you can't stick around on a roster like that if you're awful, but it turns out you can.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much nailed it. Has anyone else got anything to add to this D line before we move on to special teams?
I just don't want to see Fedarian Mathis anymore. Can we please just get together, write to Muji, whatever it is, because I've got this horrible feeling that he's going to land on this roster just because there's nobody better than him, and that's just a really terrible position to be in. I don't want to see him on the field ever
It's
again.
it's funny you should say that because I was having a discussion with Dylan Terryman, who's got his own channel. And if you haven't subscribed to him, please go over to YouTube and subscribe. DT's channel. It's really, really good. That's brilliant. He was one of the guys. Dylan was on about Mathis as well. And I said, he's number 98, in case you didn't know. And I said, I'm going to make a point of looking out for him. And I did this game, and it wasn't worth looking out for. So we are desperately short on D-line at the moment. Someone needs to step up. I think, as Daniel was alluding to Tufele is going to make it. I think Leonard the Third's going to make it. Cowart should do when he comes back from injury. And then you've got Big Q as well. So probably going to be that kind of a unit. Special teams have been quietly blooming good. We had the folk hero, Nick Folk. He's returned. Nick Folk even. He's returned and he hasn't missed a step. Why we let him go in the first place is beyond me. All-time leading point scorer for the Jets. And he's back and he's kicking field goals. That said, the thicker kicker, Harrison Meebus, is also making kicks. It would be interesting to see what happens with him because I'm sure that there are kickers on other teams that aren't as performing as well. And for a change, it looks like we've got two kickers. I don't think he'll go to our practice squad. It would be nice to see if we could flip him for a 7th round pick or something. Andy, what do you reckon? Our kicking unit, and obviously Austin McNamara as well, has looked absolutely sensational. His punting is excellent. He's kicking consistently within the 10 and mostly within the 5.
Yeah, it's been a real positive to see. I mean, one of my favourite parts during the week when the coaches' film came out was watching the special teams performance because I think I didn't know anything about our special teams coach at all when he came in. I think I thought that special teams coaches just had a job for life because we'd had the same special teams coach for what felt like a decade. Um, but watching how that unit's come together has been really good to see. Um, but I think you're right from a kicker point of view. I think it's interesting because Falk is so automatic with the field goals and the extra points. But I think Mevis's kickoffs have been just a little bit better in terms of pinning teams back at the one or getting a bounce in the landing zone, which is kind of what you want with the rule changes being what they are. Folks all kind of landed at the kind of 15 yards, 10, 15-yard range, which isn't great. But yeah, I think it's an interesting decision that the coaching staff have got on their hands with those two.
Oh, for sure. Daniel, special teams. What did you pick up? What did you see?
This kicking competition's been pretty darn good with both Mevis and Folk. I mean, look, Folk is the grizzled veteran. Mevis is the up-and-comer. And they've both been excellent with converting field goals. And, it's interesting. I mean, look, if Folk gets the job full-time, then I really would want to keep Mevis on practice squad. I really would. I wouldn't even try to flip him. I'd keep him for the practice squad for this season and have Folk kick the ball all year long. And then, if Glenn and company want to go in a different direction at the end of the year, so be it. But I wouldn't want to waste, look, finding a solid kicker is just as important as finding an edge rusher or a big-time wide receiver or a big-time quarterback or a running back. To me, every position is precious. So I would keep Mevis on the practice squad.
Yeah. Do you know the other thing as well that occurred to me, and I do agree with you actually. Greg Zerline came in for us, and he looks absolutely lights out. And then the following year, he just fell off a cliff edge. And when these guys lose it, it is exponentially quick how quickly they do lose it. It's not like they miss the odd kick or something. They just start looking horrific very, very quickly. Confidence is a massive, massive part of being a kicker in the NFL. Ice running through your veins, and I think once that's gone, I think you're on a very slippery slope. So yeah, I agree with that as well. I just want to also add the link up between Thomas Hennessy, the long snapper, the longest tenured Jet, and Austin McNamara, our punter, who's also the holder, has looked outstanding. The link up is absolutely brilliant. It's hard to believe that McNamara is young. I think this is his second year in the NFL, but he's doing so well. Ryan, just coming to you on the special teams.
Yeah, I think everybody said it already, really, haven't they? That McNamara's punting was great. He, by and large, I mean, punting 6 punts. It's not an exciting game by any means, but to punt for nearly 300 yards is pretty incredible, averaging nearly 50 yards a kick. So it's strong. It's nice to have the luxury of picking between 2 very good kickers for a change as well. In historic times, I guess we've probably been picking between 2 average kickers, and invariably we've made the wrong decision in recent years. So yeah, I feel like we're in a good position there. Special teams looks good. I feel like it's being run in a good way. I think that Keeney is probably the front runner on kick returns, but Donovan Edwards isn't looking bad. Like, considering it's not something that we expected him to be taking part in, and a couple of weeks ago we saw him start fielding these in practice, and then the last 2 games he's been involved in it, and he's done okay. He's not set the world alight yet, but do you know what, we were fooled once before by a long return that was full of glitz and glamour, and then we've had him stuck on the roster for 2 years. So yeah, I think that's his way onto the roster as well. I feel like the Gunners are doing very well. There's a lot of different options there. I forget who made the tap back that dived into the end zone on the punt and tapped it backwards, and it was downed by I want to say it might have been Kuntz or someone, but yeah, it was downed within the 5, and just that effort of play from the special teams guys is great. That's what I love to see.
That was Marcelino, I think. McCrary Ball downed it, but I can't remember who. I remember the play. They were well in the end zone, and they managed to just tap it back. And it was like the 5-yard line, wasn't it? It was an outstanding play.
4 and 6. Yeah, it was
good
so
heads up play. Chris Banjo's got these guys firing on all cylinders. I think you're right. I think Kenny Nwango, I think he will be the kick returner / punt returner. I can't see us keeping someone to do punt returns and kick returns. I think roster spots are too valuable for that. So as much as I love Edwards, I think Nwangu is going to push Edwards out. The daylight is there between them simply because Nwangu can return kicks, can return punts, but yet we've still got one more preseason game to go. Edwards needs to step up.
I think as well, Isaiah Davis can play a role there as well. So if he's back healthy before the season starts, I think that again, that's another reason that Edwards probably gets pushed out, because of the versatility of Isaiah Davis.
This is true. Gentlemen, we've got Philadelphia next weekend. It's our last preseason game. And then the following weekend, we are at home to the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 weeks to go. Can't wait. Football's in the air, guys. How excited are you?
I'm excited for more Brady Cook action.
Yeah, Daniel, how are you looking forward to this? I know that. Are you going to be going up to see any games this year?
I am planning to go to see them in Tampa. I'm grateful that the Hard Rock Stadium is just down the road from me. And maybe I'll be heading to North Florida when they play Jacksonville. So they're going to hit the 3 Florida tour teams. I'll give that an opportunity.
Oh, that would be so good. And I'm sure that you're going to give us our lowdown on what happens when you go to those games, which would be super interesting. Andy, you looking forward to...
I'll have my pepper spray on me. No,
for sure. Andy, you looking forward to next weekend?
Yeah, next weekend. But I think is it exactly 3 weeks from today we'll be gearing up for game 1?
I'm wishing weeks away. I wish it was 2 weeks. Honestly, it's so excited. I can't wait. I want to wrap this up. We had the comms team last night. Carl Banks compared Arian Smith to Willie Gault, the Chicago Bears, number 85, Chicago Bears, the 85 Chicago Bears. Can't believe he said that. And I think that's probably about it for this pod. And we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to look forward to Philip. Oh my God, Daniel's back.
Yes, I'm right here. Well, I want to wrap it up because, good old Timmy is over at the Oasis concert, and I hope he has a great time. And I hope no one minds my Oasis references for this, because after all, I am jealous of Timmy. So I just want to say enjoy yourself, Timmy, and do us all a favor. Don't sing any songs. No, I'm just kidding.
There was one last thing that I want to bring up, and this is so refreshing. The Jets won the toss in this game, and they elected to receive, not
That's right.
defer. And I was like, hallelujah, we're getting the ball first.
That's right.
So congratulations, AG, on taking positive steps to try and put points on the board first. Love it. Gentlemen, let's do this again next week. Enjoy your week, everybody, and let's look forward to more Jets football.
Y'all know what to say. On 3. 1, 2, 3.